So as usual, it's a super windy day out here. Hopefully the wind won't interfere with the audio very much. I shot a whole big long introduction, and after I looked over it, I decided that I didn't really like it. It's just too long-winded. So let's get to the point here. It's time to turn up the power on the EcoDiesel. Back in the summertime, I did the great all-around Jeep Gladiator build. Tried to make this truck into something that would be really good at everything. Obviously, it's not extreme. It's not going to be perfect for any one thing, but the idea was to build a truck that I can use for anything. I want it to handle good on the highway, get good fuel efficiency, and be nice and smooth. I want it to be able to haul anything I want to haul in this truck. I want to tow anything that I need to hook to the back. I want to be able to tow it. And I need to be able to go off-road when I want to as well. So that was the premise here of this great all-around build. Keep it mild and kind of do some parts that are chosen specifically for the purpose. And I think we accomplished that. You know, I think what I've got here is pretty good at just about anything. You know, they got the 35-inch Yokohama mud terrain tires, 2-inch leveling kit, upgraded the front track bar, you know, so we did some minor suspension stuff and tires. Also made some improvements to its ability to haul and tow. And there's been a few cosmetic changes along the way too, but now it's time finally to crank the power up on this thing just a little bit. So there's 4, as of right now, the middle of November 2021, there are 4 options that I'm aware of for cranking up the power on one of these Gen 3 EcoDiesels. 2 of them are modules, and then the other 2 are full-blown tunes. So you've got the AFE Scorcher module, and you've got the Banks Derringer module. Both of those work pretty much the same way. You know, the guys at Banks pride themselves on putting a little more effort into it, but the 2 modules pretty much work the same way. You go under the hood, you plug them in line with existing sensors, and what it does is it basically tricks the PCM into providing more fuel and more boost. All right, it's too windy out there, so in the garage I come. So anyway, where was I? So there are 4 options basically for cranking up the power on these new Gen 3 EcoDiesels, but it's not just a power crank that I'm after. I also want it to be dependable. I want it to add longevity to the engine. I don't want to have any issues with it. I don't want it to be unhealthy for the engine. You know, I want to go about it the right way. I'd also like to have a fuel economy bump while I'm at it. You know, I kind of want to have my cake and eat it too, so to speak. So the modules I don't think are a good idea. These fuel injection systems are like what, 29,000 PSI at the fuel rail? I mean, they're pushing a lot of pressure. And so it doesn't seem like a real good idea to me to put a module in there that fools the computer into cranking up the fuel pressure even more, as well as the boost. You know, I mean, we've seen a lot of people that have these Bosch CP4 fuel injection systems that have had trouble with them in stock form. You know, so it just seems to me like not really a good idea to just superficially crank it all up. You know, it's almost like you're just asking for trouble. So I think that going with a full-blown tune, a new calibration, is the way to go. And so that's what I've got here. This is a brand new factory PCM that I ordered. The idea being that I can have this programmed and I've got a backup. So when I send my existing one off to get tuned, I can put this one in the truck and still drive it. I don't have any downtime. That's the goal here, is to avoid having downtime. So I'm going to attempt to have this programmed for the truck. That's one phase of doing this. You don't have to do that, but I think it would be nice if you could pull it off. You know, if you could buy one of these. This is about $200 right now online, and then have your dealer or a local shop or something somebody who's able to program this for your truck. It'd be nice to have a stock backup. So again, there's never any downtime with the truck. So that's one phase of doing this. The other 2 options, the 2 tunes that I was talking about, Green Diesel Engineering, GDE is what we'll call that for short. And then there's some guys north of the border in Canada that are also doing tunes for these trucks. Now, I'm going with the Green Diesel Engineering tune because I've had a Green Diesel Engineering tune before, Back in the old days, remember in 2005 when Jeep released the Liberty KJ with the VM turbo diesel? Well, I had a couple of those. The last one that I had, it was an 05 limited model. In about 2010, I had that one tuned by Green Diesel Engineering, and it was a huge difference. It made it a completely different vehicle. It gained a couple of miles per gallon, more power, it ran smoother. I mean, it was just, they fixed a lot of different things actually, a lot of little quirks and issues from the factory they fixed in that tune. It was amazing. I know those guys do a really good job. They go out and they test these tunes. Like on the Gladiator, for example, they've been out to the Rocky Mountains this year doing tow testing. They've got in-house equipment to do EPA fuel economy testing on their tunes. You know, they just, you know, they're based in the Detroit area also, and they have some experience with the OEs. So those guys just really know what they're doing, and they put a lot of effort into it, and I think they go about it the right way. Based on everything that I've experienced and everything I've seen, Green Diesel Engineering probably is the best tuning company you'll ever find, you know, as far as the products that they offer. So anyway, that's what I'm going to go with. Like I said, I was going to try and get this programmed as a backup, but time has run out. I wanted to get this done this week. So tomorrow, which I'll get to in just a minute, I'm going to go ahead and take a road trip and get this done. But the Green Diesel Engineering tune is going to do some great things for the truck. More power, more fuel economy. They also changed the transmission calibration, which from what I hear is half of the gain. I mean, it's just completely awesome when you tell the transmission that you want all of the diesel's power, because in factory form, it really retards power, you know, and it has all that torque management and everything in it. So we take that out, bump the power up, but do it in a safe way and increase the fuel economy. It should be pretty sweet. I mean, can you imagine a mid-sized truck with over 500 pound-feet of torque? This is going to be awesome. So stay tuned, because this project right here is going to be probably one of my favorite for the Gladiator so far. And after I get this done, obviously we're going to do some fuel economy testing of our own. But I'm also going to do some tow testing. I want to hook the big 24-foot trailer up to this truck, and I want to see if there's any difference that I can notice. Does it tow easier? Does the transmission work better? You know, just how is the Green Diesel Engineering tune when you're working the truck, like I always do? We're gonna find out right here on the Off-Road channel. Stay with me. So I'm out here at my buddy's shop, and they're going to attempt to program that spare PCM for me that I bought. He says that they can figure out how to do it. So it's gonna be kind of awesome if this works. This is one step closer to being able to get this bad boy tuned. I can't wait. I'm kind of excited. So a few more hours and we'll know if this is going to work out or not. Hey guys, I just got off work, and so I wanted to give you a quick update. So here's the deal. The PCM reflash, my independent shop says they can probably do it, but they're not 100% sure they can do it. And I sort of figured this would be the issue. The modern security that these automakers are putting on vehicles nowadays, particularly Chrysler, it's making it really, really tough for them to just go in and do the types of things with the PCM that they used to be able to do. So what I've decided is, regardless of that, I'm going to go ahead and have the truck tuned. I'm going to go up to Green Diesel Engineering here in a couple of days, and I'm just going to drive up there. It's probably a 5 or 6 hour drive one way. So I can leave early in the morning, be there at lunch, get it done, come back home by dinner time. So that way I can go ahead and just get this done and get it over with, and I still don't have that downtime, because that's what I was worried about. I didn't want to send off my PCM and then have to wait a couple of weeks on it and have all that downtime, not be able to use the truck. So that way I can just get this done in a day and it's over with. So that's coming up this week, and I'm going to append my thoughts to the end of this video, so stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to show you the trip up there, how it goes, and give you some thoughts on the tune. And of course we'll be doing some more testing and videos on that in the future. As far as the AFE intake goes, it's still not here. I got a tracking number from them. Turns out that what that ended up being was there was a free gift that I was entitled to because of a promotion that they were running that I didn't even know about. It was like a little flashlight, an AFE branded flashlight. So they sent me the flashlight, which was the gift that I was entitled to for ordering the intake, but they didn't send me the intake. So I don't really care about the flashlight. I want my intake. I ordered the first one in June from a third-party vendor, Extreme Terrain, which I still don't have that one either. And then in August, I placed a second order through AFE directly. So now I have 2 current orders, you know, that are back ordered, I guess, right now for this intake kit, hoping that one of them would show up pretty soon. And it's just like months and months. Every time I check, it's another month. You know, right now they're saying it's gonna ship November the 23rd, I think it is. When I check on the 23rd, it'll be December the 23rd. It's just insane. But whenever that gets here, I'm gonna show you that in detail as well, because they make some really bold claims. You know, on their website, they show those dyno sheets where they get almost 40 pound-feet of torque. But anyway, I'm gonna stop talking now. The next clips you're gonna see will be on the way to GDE. If they give me permission, I might do a little bit of filming while I'm up there for you guys that haven't seen the place before. And then we'll see what kind of fuel economy we get on the way back compared to going up there. And in the future, we'll do some trailer towing and stuff with it too. So anyway, here we go. Good morning. It's a dark, cold, rainy morning. I'm still trying to wake up myself, but just reset the trip meter and everything so we can see what kind of fuel economy I get on the way up here, and then we'll do the same thing coming back, see how much of an improvement there is out on a long highway trip. So stay with us. Well, the weather is still pretty terrible, but at least the sun is up now so I can kind of see. Still headed this direction. I got probably about 4 more hours of driving before I get there. So there's no sense in recording a lot of video out on the road. Well, this is absolutely the worst part of the trip, which is going through Cincinnati. Cincinnati is an absolute train wreck. I don't know why, but it's just always been this way. It takes forever to get through here, but the skyline is pretty though.
You have reached your destination.
Thanks. That navigation finally got me here. That was a long drive, but I think this is it. About to find out. All right, so I just left Green Diesel Engineering. Hopefully you can hear me okay. It's kind of noisy, really windy. It's just noisy in this Jeep. Anyway, I just left there, and right off the bat, the Green Diesel Engineering tune feels really awesome. He went ahead and put the transmission tune in there as well. As soon as he started it up, the engine sounds different. And he said that's the sound of performance. The traffic signals up here in Michigan are quite different from what I'm used to. So they had like a flashing red light back there. Not an arrow, a flashing red ball on the traffic signal. Never seen that before. Yeah, this transmission tune, I mean, I can really tell that the torque management is being handled a lot differently. I mean, if I give it a little throttle, yeah, see it, for one thing, it didn't downshift. The stock tune, as soon as you dip into the throttle, it would almost immediately downshift. This one doesn't do that. It tends to hold the gear a lot longer, which is what you want on a diesel engine. You got all that torque down low, you might as well take advantage of it, right? On the way home. But yeah, I mean, so far, I just left the shop like 5 minutes ago, and I'm already ecstatic about this. It just really woke this truck up. Super nice. And I'm going to get into some of the details a little bit more when I get home. But let me get down here to the interstate and we'll pull onto the interstate and see how that goes.
Prepare to keep left towards I-275 after 2.3 miles.
Oh yeah, we just got up to speed really quickly. I pulled out here on the M5 and the next thing I know, I look down and I'm running 65 miles an hour already. So the power's definitely there and it just feels a lot smoother and more crisp. And the transmission feels like it's just, it kind of feels like it knows what it's doing now, if that makes any sense. This is a world-class transmission, but I kind of feel like the factory calibration that was in it was lacking just a little bit and maybe needed a couple of tweaks. But I like the way that it's operating here so far. All right, guys, so let me give you some initial thoughts on the GDE tune. First of all, this is what the module looks like. It's just a very generic but functional module that you'll use to do the transmission portion of the tune. So the cool thing about this is if you're going to take the Jeep back to the dealership for some warranty work or something like that, you can use this to very quickly flash it back to the stock transmission program, and that way you don't have to worry about losing your tuning. So you want to, he told me you definitely want to make sure that you do that before you go back to the dealership for any kind of repairs. Obviously the engine portion of the tuning, you know, they bench flash it right there, you know, on the PCM. And so unless you have a backup PCM, there's not really a whole lot you can do about that. Just try to make sure that you don't get that overwritten. If you do, you can send your PCM back to GDE, and for a nominal fee they can reflash it for you. But I was able to successfully get that spare PCM that I bought. I was able to get that flashed to the truck. So I have a stock tune on a PCM that I can just pop back in here anytime I want to. I was able to get that done. The guys at GDE are really sharp. They know their stuff. Very good with the programming on these vehicles. They were able to really take care of me. So anyway, if I have some warranty work, I can put this thing back to stock in just a matter of minutes. And no, don't have to worry about losing my tuning that way, which is awesome. So initial thoughts on the tune. It was a 750 mile round trip for me yesterday. Going up there, I had a hand calculated 18 miles per gallon. The weather was kind of terrible because the wind, it was a really stiff crosswind. So going up there to Michigan, the wind was hitting me on the driver's side of the truck, or kind of on the 10 o'clock corner of the truck. And then coming back, it was hitting me on the passenger side of the truck, or 2 o'clock corner of the truck. It was a really stiff wind the whole way. So it was not ideal conditions at all for fuel economy, but I was getting 18 miles per gallon hand calculated on the way up there. And on the way back, I was around that 20 mile per gallon mark. So it looks like we're going to see about a 2 mile per gallon improvement. However, I do want to drive this truck in my normal daily commute, my normal routine, for a couple of weeks. Then I will be able to for sure tell you exactly what kind of fuel economy gain you can expect with this tune. For the average driver in America, you know, if you're driving around 15,000 miles per year, it's probably going to take about 4 years for this tune to pay for itself. If you drive more than that, obviously it'll pay for itself in 2 or 3 years. But the bottom line is the fuel economy gain is awesome, because that means that the tune will eventually pay for itself. The power is definitely noticeable. It has more torque, you know, like I showed you. Or maybe I haven't showed you yet. If you look at the dyno sheet that they put on the website, you can see all the way through the curve. It's very linear, very smooth, and the gain is all the way through the curve. About 45 horsepower and about 80 pound-feet of torque. And you can tell that the engine is definitely making more torque. The biggest difference, though, is the transmission tuning. From the factory, you can tell there's a lot of torque management in there. They also use the torque converter a lot more. You know, they're locking and unlocking the torque converter and leaving it unlocked a lot more. in the stock programming. And the GDE programming, you can tell that they're locking the torque converter a lot more. So initially I have mixed thoughts on that. At low speed, it can be kind of annoying because what the truck wants to do is it wants to go into, like for example, this morning it was a cold start. It was 26 degrees here this morning. And when I first headed out in the truck, it wanted to stay in first gear. You got to give it a lot more speed now, and then it'll shift to second gear, and it really wants to stay in second gear because they're trying to keep the truck, you know, when you're just pulling out in the mornings. Like in my case, I live in a rural area. I've got a half mile of gravel roads that I drive before I before I ever get to pavement. So I'm kind of at low speed anyway. But anyway, the truck really wants to stay in those first two gears. They do that to try and warm the engine up faster. But it's just very different from the stock tune. And also with the torque converter being locked up in second gear like that, any on and off action of the throttle pedal will result in lurching. It very much feels like a manual transmission. If you've ever driven a Jeep that has a stick shift, that's what it feels like. You know, you let off the throttle, you know, you get on the throttle, there's a lot more roughness and harshness. You know, it's not terrible. I don't want to make it sound terrible, but it's very different from the stock tune where they have the torque converter unlocked, and so it's a lot smoother. The engagement and the on and off throttle action is a lot smoother at low speed, whereas with the GDE tune, you can tell that it's locked up because it wants to lurch. The flip side to that though is that these hills that I'm driving up at low speed, like that big long paved hill that we have down here that you guys see me scraping snow off of in the wintertime, on the stock tune, the truck would kind of go about halfway up that hill and then it would start to bog down and then it would downshift, and it was just kind of annoying actually. And on the GDE tune, it won't do that. The torque converter's locked, you've got more torque, and so it just rolls right up the hill with very little pedal effort. So that's a benefit, you know. So I guess what I'm trying to say is at low speed, I'm kind of mixed. You know, I'm 50-50 right now on the transmission tuning. I think I'll probably just get used to it after a while, you know, having the torque converter locked up more and more of the harshness. Just, you know, it's one of those things you have to train your brain to, how to use the throttle pedal differently now to make the truck do what you want it to do. So I'll probably get used to it. Out on the highway though, it's 100% benefit. If you dip into the throttle, it will hold gear longer. On the stock tune, I mean, if you even look at the throttle pedal, it downshifts. From the factory, they made it feel a lot like you're driving a gasoline powered vehicle. You know, the way it's just constantly upshift, downshift. You don't really want that with a diesel. You want to take advantage of all that low end torque. And the GDE tune allows you to do that because they've got it set to where now you can dip into the throttle, it'll hold gear and just set you back and take off. And that's really nice. I love that. At the same time though, if you give it a lot of throttle, it will downshift very quickly and take off. So it's really nice on the highway. I like what they've done at moderate and high speeds. It's really nice. The transmission tuning is such a massive difference that it's really hard to tell if the benefit that you're getting is from the engine power or if it's really from the transmission. It's really hard to tell sometimes because it's, like I said, it's just a night and day difference. I need to get more miles on it, more time, but overall I'm really happy with it. I can tell they've tried to make some really big improvements to the transmission, and like I said, the engine obviously is making more power. The buzzing noise from the fuel solenoid is no longer there when you shut the truck off. On that cold start this morning, it did immediately go to high idle, which was cool. So they've done some really good things with the tune. This is the initial release. I'm sure that as time goes on, they may tweak it. I'm sure they will. They'll probably tweak it. They'll probably add some more features like engine braking perhaps, or regen messaging on the dash, or, you know, the things that they used to offer on the Gen 2 tune. I'm sure they'll be doing that with future releases of the GDE Gen 3 tune. But for now, initially, I think they've got a great product here. It makes this truck a really different truck to drive. I mean, it honestly does. You know, I was thinking back to when they first started their company in '09, they started doing the Jeep Liberty diesel tunes, and I had one of those. it completely transformed that vehicle, completely. The difference here is not as drastic as the difference was on that vehicle, but I think that's just because the tuning on this vehicle was a little bit better from the factory. So maybe there wasn't as much of a gain to be had, but GDE has definitely improved the factory calibration, and so far I'm super happy with it. Like I said, the miles per gallon definitely has gone up, but I need to do more testing to know for sure, because I like to be accurate with that kind of stuff. I don't want to just throw out some random numbers. I hand calculate all of my mileage, and I take into consideration weather conditions, whether I'm towing or not on that particular tank, you know, where I'm at, where I buy fuel. You know, I have all this stuff, you know, in a spreadsheet, because I want to be accurate with these numbers. And so if you guys give me just a couple of weeks, I'll give you some true numbers on what you can expect with this tune as far as fuel economy gain. But I can definitely tell you that the power is there. And the great thing about the GDE tune, like I've explained before, is that it's a very safe tune. Those guys know what they're doing. They come from a background working for the OEs, went out and did some aftermarket stuff, and they have the experience, they have the knowledge and the skill to do a safe, reliable tune. You know, they flashed my truck and I hopped in it and left from Michigan back to Kentucky. No problems, no check engine lights, no hiccups, nothing. It was just perfect all the way back. So really reliable and safe tune for your truck, and that matters a lot too, especially when you're still under warranty, you know, and you don't want to have issues, you know. So anyway, those are my initial thoughts on it. This truck is pretty quick now, actually. I mean, you know, I've had some Mustangs and a Mach 1, Camaros, Challengers, that kind of stuff, you know, muscle cars. So I kind of have an idea of what fast is. I wouldn't call this truck fast, but for a mid-sized truck, it's pretty quick now. It's pretty fun to drive, that's for sure. So it's a big improvement. Anyway, stay tuned to the channel, and next thing I'm going to be doing, other than the fuel economy updates, is I'm trying to keep the wind off the microphone there. But I'm going to be doing some tow testing. That's the next thing I want to do, because from the factory, the transmission calibration in this truck was really weird when I was towing my trailer. At 65 miles per hour, it really did a lot of constant shifting. And I don't mean like, you know, I mean, literally it was constantly 5, 6, 5, 6, 5, 6, that fast, you know, trying to figure out which gear it wanted, which is horrible for the transmission. So I want to tow the same trailer down the same roads, and I want to see if the GDE tune has fixed that. You know, is the transmission programming going to be a lot better for towing? I hope so. I expect it to be, but I want to do some testing and find out for sure. So that'll be coming up on the channel in the not so distant future. But for now, that's all I have, and I'm going to go out and put some more miles on this tune now and put it through its paces, I guess. So thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions about this tuning, put them below. I'll try to help you out, and we'll talk to you later.